Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another awesome CPaaSAA Talks. We are back with Radisys. This time I'm talking with Al Balasco.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. Good to connect again here and with the CPaaSAA audience.
Awesome. So you guys were a big contributor to our CPaaSAA Service Provider Playbook. You guys have been in the space for a while and really contributed some awesome use cases. I always love talking with you guys because you've got some really slick technology and make it really easy for people to get in and use.
Yeah, thanks. I think our focus really from the start when we launched our initiative around communications, digital services, and APIs in this kind of CPaaS programmable communication space has really been, our emphasis has really been on helping service providers accelerate time to revenue and make it easy and low cost, lower the bar for trying new things as well and experimenting. I think what CPaaSAA stands for, and the playbook that was published is a great example, is helping service providers and consumers of this technology be able to create, understand what use cases are possible, understand how they can be monetized, and build an ROI and a business case around it. So really dovetails well with what we're trying to do. The event last year was a great opportunity for us to showcase some applications and applications that can be delivered as turnkey, as possible in the environments that we're implementing our solutions in, but also leverage the underlying tools that we use to build the applications to empower developers to customize those applications that we have as starting points, or even create new applications based on their specific markets and imagination and ideas using the building blocks in our platform.
Yeah. And I know the last couple MWCs and even at our own CASA 23 last year, you highlighted that drag and drop interface. Really blew me away with a lot of the capabilities from video AI to real-time interactions and being able to trigger additional activities off of what you're actually seeing in a communication stream. Really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's really a powerful capability that we've enabled within our platform. There's kind of the ironic impact of when somebody who looks at that on the surface, especially if they have more experience in as developers, they say, okay, this looks great. I can prototype something very quickly, but now what do I need to do to actually create a production application? And our point is, no, these tools are powerful enough that and support are built on the underlying platform, which provides that scalable, reliable, secure, production grade environment for running those applications. So the path between creating a demo and a prototype to a production application is very short, and those are the tools that can be used to build them. And obviously under the covers we also have much more fine-grained APIs and SDKs as well. But we think that is, and it's proving to be a pretty significant differentiator. Back to the idea of what's the objective here? Monetization. How do we get these solutions out very quickly? And also kind of reinforces the point that I mentioned at the outset, which is how do we lower the bar for our customers to try new things? Well, it's tools like this that make it very easy, and you don't need a big team of developers to create something and deploy something, or even customize something that we might provide as a starting point. And it's important for us when we build new capabilities into the platform, for the logical, it's logical and intuitive to think about, call flows that you can build with this design tool, but it's actually these visual tools are used for even some of the most sophisticated, to create capabilities out of the most sophisticated features of our platform, including the media analytics, whether it's speech processing or video, computer vision capabilities that a service provider and enterprise might use out of a service provider's toolkit to leverage their network.
Yeah, good stuff. And I know last couple times we talked, you guys have really been focusing on a couple of out-of-the-box, super easy to deploy solutions, one of which is that real-time translation, which we've heard about in the call center. But you guys, I know, have really seen some great success. And then also looking at that call center piece is your Clarity product, where you guys are able to adjust in real time the audio levels and things like that to help hearing impaired. Tell us how those two products are doing in the market.
Sure. So the real-time translation application is pretty interesting. Number one, the emphasis for Radisys applications is to be able to provide end-to-end capabilities where we can help service providers manage the end experience through the device of choice of the customer. But a lot of the services are available in the network, so you're not depending on a particular device and capabilities in that device to deliver features of the network to the customer. And translation is a great application. There's a lot of advances that are happening in AI that are continuing to improve that capability. So having in network cloud, whether it's public or private cloud-based services that can exploit kind of a DevOps model where you're continuously upgrading the capabilities in the network is pretty important. And there's a lot of applications for that translation capability. Call center is a great one. I've seen studies that indicate that 80% of the enterprises or businesses that can take advantage and leverage real-time or translation, they don't, because the cost has traditionally been high, and that's because they've had to use humans to do that.
Mhm.
So now the underlying technology for automating that is relatively low cost and pretty powerful. So call center is a sweet spot, but we're seeing a lot of applications in kind of the consumer space, travel industry, even as a feature. So as a standalone application itself, it has value, but we're also starting to see it as one of the kind of features that can be added to other applications. And this kind of dovetails into one of the thrusts that we have with this platform to help service providers and their customers is creating more immersive in-call experiences. So one of the things we demonstrated at this year's Mobile World Congress, some in the audience may have be aware of an initiative called 5G New Calling. And essentially what this is the ability to create rich experiences in the context of a phone call, including interactive capabilities. So being able to enter a credit card number without having to speak it to an agent, or answering a questionnaire, or annotating on a screen, for example. And all this is done within the context of a native dialer call on the device, and without having an app without having to download an app. And so what we showed at Mobile World Congress is a capability where somebody could make a call to a travel agency and through natural language, say, I'm interested in a night out with my customers here. What kind of events can I participate? Can I sign up for? And on the back end, the call, once the user goes through that application and maybe identifies what they're interested in. I want to take my client to a wine tasting event, but I have some questions. They can connect out to a live agent, and that live agent, our setting there was we have visitors from all over the world looking for activities in Spain. And so the call center agent that would take that call speaks Spanish, and that feature, that real-time translation feature, is now part of that. Just a capability as part of that application. And one of probably the best things that happened along this kind of journey of rolling this product out is announcements earlier in the year that Samsung made about enabling real-time translation and their AI capabilities on their devices. So we couldn't have paid for that kind of marketing that we got out of that. So that raised awareness of this type of application as well. And there's a place for doing this on the device, and there's a place for having these capabilities in the network. And some advantages of doing it in the network are, like I mentioned earlier, just quicker updates on the capabilities, the technology as it evolves, but also security, performance can be more guaranteed in the network, and even just simple things like the size of the downloads for somebody who wants to support different languages, language packs on these devices. Those downloads can get into the hundreds of megabytes, and it's limited. The number of devices that can handle that type of processing are fairly limited today.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's many different applications, and we're seeing a lot of traction, on a global basis for that. And the fact that our product, can run in the network and also support more of the control on the client side as well for those applications provides, advantages for certain applications for service providers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Ben, I think you touched on a really important point there with the device capabilities, right? So it's great that Samsung, and we're seeing Apple rolling things out. It's great that they're rolling these new features out, but the vast majority of the world still isn't on those types of devices, right? So what do you do with an old huge phone or a flip phone that they can't support those things? With your technology, you can support that at the network level.
Yeah, and I mean, it even goes to even older generation technology. A lot of people still have landlines, especially older people in there, and a lot of these applications for this kind of technology, like real-time translation, government types of services where they want to be able to provide access to any, inclusivity and access to anybody for these services. You have to be able to reach, whatever device a consumer is using. I had an interesting conversation with one of our customers who provides E911 emergency calling services in the U.S. And we were talking about the benefit of this translation application in that case, and it literally can be a matter of life and death. Those call centers, they try to staff them with people who can speak the most commonly, regional or local languages. But you have somebody come in, a tourist comes in from, Japan. They're visiting Phoenix. They have an emergency. They call 911, and if they can't speak English, that call center will go out to a service provider, connect to them who provides live translation services, say, I need somebody who can speak Japanese, and it will take some time to get them on the phone. And so even those kind of applications are now become really within reach from a cost point of view, with capabilities like service providers can deliver with our platform.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely in our space, we always talk about operators trying to get beyond the dumb pipe, right? And this is truly creating a smart pipe, which is awesome.
Yeah. You also asked about the Clarity application. So this, what essentially this application is it's like a hearing aid in the network. So on a global basis, 20 to 25% of the population has some level of hearing loss, and over time, that can lead to things like withdrawal, other health issues, so what we've done is leverage this engaged CPaaS platform to create and our media server, which sits in over 200 network operators globally, to help those consumers who have hearing loss adapt audio for conversations on any device. Again, back to whether it's a smartphone, a landline phone, based on their characteristics of their specific hearing loss. So they go through 3 or 4 minute hearing test, which is done through a phone calls, and after that, and that adapts the audio from a call based on not only their hearing loss, but also the capabilities of the device. So maybe they'll create different profiles for different devices. Then any calls to and from that device are enhanced to address and compensate for their hearing loss. And it's a great application for wellness. From what we are seeing more on a global basis, really is a lot of interest in inclusivity initiatives. This because of our experience in media processing and really bringing the most out of the infrastructure that's in the service provider's network, in their cloud or in their data center, we can help those service providers deliver this capability for literally less than the price of a cup of coffee a month for a subscriber, and which is pretty compelling. That in and of itself has a pretty compelling ROI. When you think about the scale of this problem, the benefits to the end user. So we have our first customers who are actually rolling this out in the second half of this year. After having announced that at MWC, which I think in and of itself is a testament to what this market can enable for service providers. I mean, to me, in my experience, 25 plus years selling to telecom, for a service provider to go from a new product launched into the market to being able to deliver that as a service within 2 or 3 quarters is a pretty significant accomplishment.
Yeah, and that's amazing. I love the concept where you're essentially creating a profile for each person on the other end of the line, right? So that's when you think about that, that's a really nice value add for subscribers of a network.
Yeah, and you also mentioned earlier, and you connected this in the context of call center as well. That's an interesting use. There's interesting enterprise uses for this. One of the things that is annoying for somebody who calls into a call center is if they have to keep repeating themselves. Well, sometimes you repeat yourself. They have to repeat themselves when they go from agent to agent because maybe the business isn't set up where the context for that call is transferred along, but it could also be because the agent on the other end didn't really hear, and it could be because of challenges they have either with the devices that they're using if they're an at-home agent, and a combination of their hearing loss. So there's a lot of benefits to this in use cases like that as well, where you're trying to reduce the call hold time, improve customer satisfaction. It has those kind of benefits in specific business use cases as well.
Yeah, that's great. So we've talked about Mobile World Congress a couple of times. I know when I stopped by your booth this year, you guys were also looking at some network API use cases, and network API has been a big topic over the last 12, 18 months. What are you guys seeing in that space, and what are you starting to work on and bring to market?
Sure. So, I think this the network APIs and Kamara initiative, as an example, we're really seeing a lot of momentum. Number one, a lot of service providers globally, they're not only signed on to the initiatives and participating in the standards body, but over the past 12 to 18 months, we've seen many of them now deploying sandboxes for people to go try and implement new capabilities in their applications. There's been a good wave of announcements over the past couple of quarters on interoperability between or among service providers as well for these APIs. And what we're seeing on the back end as both a consumer and a provider of these APIs via our platform is a lot of work now in enabling using these sandboxes to create and enable applications to showcase to customers. And one of the areas that really intersects with what we're doing and one of the strengths of our platform is around those media analytics capabilities. Like actually at last year's CPaaSAA event, one of the showcases we presented combined the ability for network-based IP cameras to monitor video streams and look for specific characteristics of those video streams. In the case of what we demonstrated last year, a fire in a facility, where there's oil pipelines, and that triggers a connection to a data center for monitoring notifications and alerts for people to, respond to that event. And you can extrapolate from the different kind of cases that can be employed by that security surveillance type of application, employee safety type of applications in many different verticals. Those are perfect applications for network, leveraging new broadband network capabilities. For example, and two of the APIs that we're seeing a lot of interest around specifically in these cases are quality on demand. So that case where this application looking for monitoring the cameras might be locally and at the edge, but once there's an event notification, when you make that connection to the macro network, you want to be able to have a stable connection there and a high performant connection to be able to monitor and respond. And another API that augments a lot of these types of applications is like for geofencing. So now that there's this emergency based on the type of emergency as it is, do we have the right people in the area? Do we have the wrong people in the area, and we need to notify them to get away? Are there drones monitoring a facility, a mine, or something like that? And they're getting to the boundaries of the the location where they're permitted to fly. So a lot of the good thing from our perspective is a lot of the applications that we've already started to deliver to customers and work with customers on now can be supplemented with these capabilities as and with new creating new value. It's not necessarily about thinking, okay, I need to start from scratch and build something new. And another part of the ecosystem that we see, kind of behind the scenes that we're working on is bringing all the pieces of these solutions together, especially these types of applications. There's a lot of work in terms of the physical network deployment and topology. Systems integrators who are involved in bringing all the pieces together. Some of them already have workflows for specific markets that now can leverage these network capabilities. So those are being stitched together now too. And where we're, I think where the most activity from our perspective in this area, now we're seeing these applications. One, customers locking down on which use cases they are planning to roll out, starting to showcase them to customers, and working to make sure the ecosystem is there to roll them out. So I would anticipate next year being a pretty pivotal year for us to start to see, at least in our the cases for the types of applications we're talking about, real production deployments. And again, like with some like the two applications we talked about earlier, which have a little bit more broader market reach. They're not as niche. Some of these applications tend to be niche and for specific industries, but we're starting to see interest in these on a global basis as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, really looking forward to next year. This year the big theme has been security, trust, and fraud on the network API side, but that QOD piece we're starting to see that inch up, and I love the geofencing piece as well. So very excited to see what you guys are pushing as we get into next year.
Yeah, it's very exciting times, and I think we'll be showcasing some of these at the event next month in Amsterdam as well, at the CPaaSAA event. So looking forward to seeing you and the rest of the team there, and some of our mutual customers and partners in the organization.
Super excited, and always fun to meet with the Radisys team and see what's new under the hood and what's getting put together. So Al, great to spend some time with you today and hear some of the latest on what's going on at Radisys.
Yeah, same here. Thanks, Robert. Thanks for the time.
All right. Thanks. See you guys.
Bye-bye.